Hello, friends. Welcome back to Non-Toxic Environments. This is your host, Andy Pace. On this week's show, we'll be talking with Sheila Alston. Sheila is the founder of Healthy Home Media, digital and print marketing for healthy home professionals, specifically real estate and construction. I was really happy to be on her podcast last year, and we had such an interesting conversation about the market that made sure to get her on the Non-Toxic Environments program so all of you can listen. It's just a wealth of information about wellness and real estate, how the industry is adapting to the new client, the client looking for a healthier home, not just green and eco-friendly, but truly healthier for themselves and for their families. So have a listen, and I hope you enjoy. Coming to you live from Florida this week. I am blessed to have good friends, family who have invited my wife and I down here for a little rest and relaxation. Perfect timing, because I think it was about 13 degrees when we left Milwaukee yesterday. So it's nice to come down here. And actually, this morning we wake up and it's like 58 degrees, and they're complaining about how cold it is. And 58 degrees in Milwaukee at this time of year, I'd be putting shorts on anyway. So this is fantastic. The downside is because of the traveling and the temperature changes and so forth, I have developed a little bit of a cold. So I apologize for my voice. It's a little deeper than normal, and I apologize in advance if I have a cough here and there, but we'll get through this. So this week is really fun because it's a topic that we've been talking about in our business for years, and it's a topic that has been just sorely misrepresented in the industry, and that is wellness real estate. So real estate homes that have been gone through a healthy home transformation, new homes have been built healthy. When it comes time to sell, who are you going to hire as your real estate agent to sell this home if they don't understand all the benefits that it brings to the new potential buyer? And I know years ago there was an organization that started sort of like this, but down the green track of just eco-friendliness, but not focusing on the health of the occupants. And so this is why I'm so excited about this particular topic, this company, and of course, our speaker for today. So I'm going to bring onto the screen Sheila Alston. Sheila owns a company called Healthy Home Media, which is encompassing a whole host of services, and really looking forward to having Sheila join us and tell us all about Healthy Home Media. Hello, Sheila.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Andy.
Oh my gosh, it's so fantastic to have you here. I was on your show several months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was a great discussion. And ever since then, I've just been thinking about this, like, why isn't this popping up all over the country? The trends in healthy, as we were talking about just in the backstage, trends in healthy building, healthy living are just all, going on this just upwards trajectory. So, we should be seeing this now starting to incorporate all throughout the country.
Well, I know, and I totally agree with you, which is why I thought, I was looking at, this all began when I was an agent and I was trying to figure out a way to differentiate myself. And I have a background as a health coach, but I didn't necessarily want to be a health coach, but I thought, gosh, there's got to be a way I can merge the two together. And I kind of went down this rabbit hole and found that there's already a segment of the industry called wellness real estate. And it's been slowly growing, but it's worth $275 billion now worldwide. And what it is there's forward-thinking developers who are building communities, whole communities that have intentionally been designed to support healthier living. And it's more than just a community with a pool or a community center. What it is many of them are called agrihoods. They're centered on an organic farm, and they have this farming component that also educates the people that live there. They can go and meet the farmer. They can see exactly where their food is coming from. And then the homes themselves have healthier components, and every neighborhood is different. But what I love about it is that the developers are no longer putting profits first. They're putting the health of the residents first. And how can we help them live healthier? And the Global Wellness Institute says that the homes that were built for the last 100 years are making us sick and alienated, and then now, especially with COVID, I think people really realize that the home environment matters, and not just being cooped up in your home all the time, but being isolated sucks. We need people, we want to have
Hmm.
community. And so
Right.
how can these developers are just looking like, how can we foster community? How can we build it into a neighborhood where people are thriving and there's opportunity for them to get out and go on a trail run and walk their dogs and go to a place, a local restaurant that is farm to table because they get all their ingredients from the farm, or access to nature trails and edible walking trails. And I mean, the list just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it's so exciting. So once I found
Hmm.
out about these neighborhoods, I was like, I've got to tell the world. Like, how can I tell people? So I started this magazine called Wellness Real Estate Magazine, and I thought, well, I'll just share it with other real estate agents, because there's got to be other agents like me who need marketing support and want something to share, because we're always told to like provide value. But honestly, I think, I have lots of friends who are agents, and if you're not currently looking for a home,
Hmm.
all the talk about, I can help you find your home and here's the current market. It's kind of like, you're not really paying attention to that, right? And so the other thing is everybody tends to say the same things. And so I really feel like this whole wellness real estate is such an opportunity, because it's allowing us to talk about something that's more important than just the transaction. Of course, the transaction is important to people, but if someone's moving every 5 to 10 or 15 years, the time that they're spending in their home matters too. And what if they have kids that are getting allergies and they don't even realize that it's because of their home environment? Like, you as the real estate agent could be the one that's connecting them with healthy home professionals, right? You could be
Hmm.
the one that's educating your whole audience on how to create a healthier home, because not everybody's going to be able to live in some of these wellness lifestyle communities, but everybody does deserve to live in a healthier home. So that's kind of been my mission, is to share, you know, people like you, and how that's why I created the podcast, is I just wanted to talk about what is healthy home. There's so many magazines that talk about health and wellness, and there's so many home magazines, but nobody talks about what is
Hmm.
healthy home. And I love what you're doing. And I love that you actually have products to suggest. There's lots of people that will say, this is toxic, this is toxic. But then you're just left with, oh no, now I'm scared to be in my house. What do I do? So I love that you can come to the Green Design Center and find actual products that can be beautiful, and also, and not spend. I mean, I haven't looked. I'm going to be building a house, so I've got to talk to you about this. But I feel like there's so many more products now. It's not as expensive as it used to be to go green or be energy efficient or to be, healthy. So,
I would actually agree, and I would say that in years past, the one of the biggest hurdles has been the cost of materials, and
mhm,
that's mainly because the availability of them nationwide. You've had these pockets, obviously a store like Green Design Center or others across the country that would sell these materials. But now, and I think specifically because of COVID and how used to we all are to purchasing materials online, we have no problem shipping a pallet load of flooring for a new house coast to coast. It happens on
mhm,
a daily basis for us now,
mhm,
and so it's like everything has gotten a little closer in the world, and because of that, with more accessibility, more availability, it keeps prices down. Now, of course, in the last year with inflation, we've seen prices kind of jump up a bit, but we're
mhm,
also seeing these now leveling out.
mhm,
And I can say that most of our manufacturers now through 2023, we have not seen any price increases yet, which is really surprising. In 2022, most of our manufacturers went up between either three times or maybe as much as six price increases throughout the year.
wow.
So that has improved considerably. Now, um, in talking about um, finding somebody who has a knowledge base of these materials, a real estate professional who can now talk to new potential buyers about this. And this is where, your publications and podcasts and so forth really are important to teach these professionals. I mean, they know obviously what they're doing from a real estate position, but when it comes to being able to sell the benefits, the attributes, that's something that I mean, your publication and podcast really are important for that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to make it easy for agents because I think, a lot of people, if they watch $1 Million Listing, they think agents don't have to work that hard. But really, since I was an agent and I know so many awesome agents, they're really some of the hardest working people and they don't get paid for it unless they close a deal. So they're just, hustlers and they're doing so much and you got to wear so many hats because even if you work for a large broker, you're not an employee, you're still a small business. Um, so they've got to do their own marketing, they've got to do their own sales, they've got to do their own lead generation, they've got to just do so much. And plus then they've got to sell a home, which that's what pays the bills, right? So
Mhm.
I just thought if I can make it easy for them to share and educate, then that's a win. And if I can use this, platform to share and educate on what, business owners like you are doing, then it's like we're all kind of symbiotic and helping each other. And I talked to this agent the other day and she said, green has been around for a long time. And where I think, the hang up has been why it hasn't grown so fast is because, while being sustainable and green is a good thing, really the benefit is for the planet. And there's a lot of people who are, just too busy or too, don't have the funds, or there's always an excuse if it's somewhere outside of yourself. But wellness, on the other hand, is personal. Uh-oh, are you still there? Did
Yep,
we
I'm
lose
still
you?
here. I'm
Okay.
still here.
Okay. Wellness is personal. It's like, how can I be healthier? How can my family be healthier? If I personally have someone in my family who has allergies, that's going to be important to me to know what is causing some of these allergies at home, right? Where the good news is that when you create a healthier home and you're building with some of these products that are less toxic, that's going to be good for our environment too. But this agent was like, wellness, because it's personal, that's just going to grow so much faster. And I would have to agree. And so I just think if you want to be a modern real estate agent and you want to show people that you are forward thinking, the best thing to do is to surround yourself with healthy home professionals and learn about how to create a healthier home and start educating your audience on that. I was talking to another agent who said, I feel like my friends all know several agents. And, when I'm meeting new people, I just don't know what to say. And I said, well, when they ask you what you do, what do you say? Do you say I'm a real estate agent? Because if that's the answer, you've totally missed an opportunity to get a new follower right there. Imagine if you instead said, there's a lot of people that are finding that they're getting sick in their homes. The home is becoming kind of this toxic soup between the EMFs and all the things we're bringing into our homes. And so a lot of people are getting sick. And I've just been educating myself about that. I've been connecting with healthy home professionals. So I'm a real estate agent who's wellness focused, and I'm trying to educate my audience on how to create a healthier home. People will be like, what? Yeah, can I follow you? And instantly you have someone who's interested in you're having an engaging conversation about your business, and you have an opportunity to help them in a new way. And when someone's ready for that transaction, they're going to think about who the agent who's already helping them. You'll be the logical choice.
So, uh, when I got started 30 plus years ago, and I got into uh, chemical sensitivity, environmental illness, stick building syndrome, these were some of my customers. I remember one of my first customers. She lived in one room of her house that was completely covered in aluminum foil, floors, walls, ceilings, everything covered in aluminum foil because she couldn't tolerate the off gassing from anything
Mm-hmm.
in the room. Um, that was the extreme, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And as that customer base has now progressed. We still have a customer base that's very, very chemically sensitive. But what I'm finding now is this whole new customer base of the millennials and Gen Zs that are now getting into their first home. And they're coming at it from a standpoint of, I don't have chemical sensitivity. I don't have any of this stuff, but we're expecting our first child and we don't want to raise this child in a toxic
Mhm.
environment. It's a completely different mindset now.
Mhm.
Um, do you have any um, data or statistics on ages and trends within age groups at all?
I don't off the top of my head. I did the most recent statistic that I got was just that recent research says that 79% of people rank health and wellness as a top priority, and more the
Wow.
majority of those people say it's like the number one top priority. So it
Wow.
didn't break that down into age groups, but that's huge. 79%, and I think people are now realizing that health and wellness is so much more than diet and exercise. It is your home environment. It is, your stress level, and it is, the toxic relationships you have. There's so many different components of it, but certainly the home environment is a big one. And yeah.
Well, I've used this story before, and I'll tell it again in case we have some new listeners in this episode. But I remember a so back probably 10, 15 years ago, I was doing a lot of educational events at the interior design schools around the Midwest. So I would guest lecture at just every college that had an interior design department. And I remember doing one, and I think it was in Madison at UWM. And I was talking about how, back in 1995, 96, when we first brought bamboo flooring into the United States, my company was one of the first in the country to start importing bamboo. And people absolutely loved it because it was this brand new for them flooring material that was extremely sustainable, grows very fast. It's incredibly durable, all these different attributes to it from an environmental standpoint. And as years went on, we got into the late 90s, early 2000s. By the mid 2000s, we were finding out that farmers in China were starting to clear cut thousands of acres of indigenous species to plant bamboo because the US
Oh,
market wanted bamboo.
oh, wow.
And now it took away like that huge environmental benefit. It's like, well,
Yeah,
if you're manufacturing material essentially because in stripping out everything else that's native,
yeah.
it takes away from the environmental benefit. Um, and then we started talking about the cost of bringing container loads over from China, the cost of, and then the fossil fuels burned, the finishes that they use, the glues that they use in between the boards that contain urea formaldehyde or other
Mhm.
types of formaldehyde. And I said to this group at this class in Madison, I said, bamboo flooring is not that environmental panacea that you thought it was. It used to
Mhm.
be, but now that it's become a market, it's become an industry, it's become a profit center, manufacturers are starting to exploit that.
Mhm.
And so I had somebody in the back of the room, and inevitably this happens. I say something like this, and all of a sudden I knew I just crushed somebody's dream or their made their day horrible. So she raised her hand. She goes, we just installed bamboo in our home about 6 months ago, and I'm now feeling lousy about my decision. I said, well, let me ask you this: do you love that floor? She goes,
Mhm.
oh, absolutely. It took us a year to decide on that particular floor. We got it installed. We love it. I said, so every morning you wake up, go out to the kitchen, make yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. You walk barefoot on that floor and you absolutely love it. She goes, yes. I said,
Great.
sold. That's done.
Yeah.
That's a healthy home attribute.
Yeah.
And so, I learned years ago with there's a method of construction called Stapachya Veda, which is the Eastern Indian philosophy of design and construction. It's closely related to Vastu, which is Indian
Hmm.
design.
Hmm.
Um, and so think of it as like the Ayurvedic version of design. And
Hmm.
so one of the rules of that is that every corner of every room should bring you bliss.
Hmm.
And I've remembered that now for my career. That's the one law of that of that method I've really remembered, because it makes so much sense. If you walk
Hmm.
into that room and you absolutely love that floor, you love that countertop, you love that photo on the wall, whatever it is that just makes you feel good every time you see it, then that definitely is part of living in a healthy home. You have to look at
Hmm.
it from a holistic picture.
Well, right, because when you're in that state of mind and you're happy, that's when your good juices are flowing. It's good. But if you woke
Yes.
up in the morning and felt, just regret or whatever about your decision or something, then you're in a negative frame of mind. And that's not good for your immune system, your stress level and things.
Well, no, it's akin to having colors that make you agitated, and
Hmm.
having even building materials, full of plastics that don't
Hmm.
resonate with the body's own um, um, energy. And so
Hmm.
when you surround yourself with natural materials, you spend some time outdoors, like I'm spending today, you just feel better. And
You
so,
do.
and I'm not a doctor, and I'm not I'm not a philosophy major either, but I just believe that with the clients that I've worked with over the years, over 30,000 now, I
Hmm.
can tell you that these are the things that anybody can build a home using healthy building materials,
Hmm.
and I can walk a contractor through it, and we're doing it all over the country. But to make a healthy home, you have to look at that holistic picture. It's the
Hmm.
amount of fresh air and natural sunlight and bringing the outdoors in, and that feeling you get when you walk into that space and say, geez, I just really love it here. And what a difference that makes.
Yeah. And I just spoke with this rug designer the other day. She was on my podcast, and she was I'm blanking on her name. Linda Alexia, I think is what it is. Why can't I think of her company name? But anyway, she does fully organic rugs. And she said to me, most consumers don't know how toxic their homes are, but designers should, and I took that to heart, and I was like, designers and realtors should.
Yes.
And she says there's so many designers that will buy her rugs and then they'll go and spray Scotch Guard all over them.
Mm,
And, if you don't realize that that's off gassing in your home and you've just kind of negated the beautiful organic rug, then you don't know. And you think, oh, it's stain resistant for my toddler. But yet your toddler is the one that's going to be rolling around on the Scotch Guard.
mhm,
So, um, it's just so important that if you're a tradesperson and you're in the home building industry, whether you're a contractor or a designer or a real estate agent, I'm just educate yourself on this stuff and learn and connect with the healthy home professionals as much as you can so that you can provide good sound advice to clients about how to live healthier. It's
mhm.
just so important.
I've had to tell these classrooms of new, eager young designers that
Hmm.
they have to remember that one day they're going to be part of the design team. They're going to be part of the decision making team,
Hmm.
which also means part of the liability stream. And I don't
Hmm.
want to scare anybody, but if you are a designer and whether it's residential or commercial, what's going to happen when how many years down the road we find out that these materials that we've been using in our homes and in our buildings are actually unhealthy,
Hmm.
and you're the ones making those decisions for the client. And quite honestly, between an architect and an interior designer, most often a homeowner is going to trust the intuition of the interior designer over the architect when it comes to these decisions of flooring materials and wall finishes and cabinetry and countertops and artwork and rugs and so forth. And you don't want to be promoting materials that have negative health effects, because
Hmm.
again, in today's litigious society, eventually somebody's going to start stewing over these things, and it's going to become problematic.
Well, and I do think that for some agents, that's sometimes the fear they have is that they don't want to start recommending things that they don't know about because they don't want to be liable for that stuff. So I think that what's great is really not that you don't have to be the healthy home expert, but you do need to surround yourself. Even if you're a designer and you're currently learning about eco design or learning about healthy design, still surround yourself with a network of experts that you already have so that you can, you know, connect with them. There's a wellness architect that writes for my magazine every month, and her name's Kate Hamblett. She's with Balanced
Oh yeah,
Architecture.
I
Yeah,
know
and
Kate. Yeah.
I don't know how many wellness architects there are out there, but I love that she is really promoting balanced, have a balanced home, a balanced life, and it comes from the materials that you put in your home and the light you get in your home. And it's just from her perspective, it's so interesting. And all of these different healthy home professionals, they kind of overlap. There's a lot, they're saying a lot of the same things, but it's coming from a different perspective. And I just met today, I had a call with a developer from Agriburbia. They
Okay.
help communities and developers build agrihoods. And I don't know if you know what an agrihood is, but it's a community that's centered on an organic farm. And he showed me the drawings that they have, and they've helped so many communities just in the last 10 or 15 years. And they have like technology incorporated in the farm. So he showed me the coolest design, and it was these two doctors, and I don't know where in the country it is, but it's a wellness center that these two surgeons, they didn't want to be in a hospital environment anymore. They wanted to have a more holistic practice or functional practice. So they had 5 acres, and they had Agriburbia completely propose this. They call it these farm kits, where it's this beautiful modern building that's kind of like a greenhouse effect,
Hmm.
that has livable quarters upstairs and an office downstairs, and then a farming area around it that has these
Wow.
trellises that have all this technology on it, so that it monitors the growing of the food, and you can put any kind of plant in there. Anyways, it's so technologically advanced, but yet it's organic food farming, and it's beautiful. And so they have a an operation, or an operation area or building that you go for the surgery center. And then they have a recovery center, and they have a not only the recovery center, but they had like 4 outbuildings on there, and it was just surrounded by beautiful gardens and edible food. And they said, we want our patients to come here and eat the good food before they have the surgery, so that they can recover and heal quicker.
Wow.
And then it was like nothing I've ever seen before. And I was like, that's pretty amazing. And they're doing that in neighborhoods too, where they just beautiful neighborhoods. He told me about this one community that they're building, and I can't remember where it is, but they were going to have businesses that have these little farm kits. So like, one is a dentist who's going to grow mint everywhere and have mint toothpaste that's totally organic for the
Wow.
community. And then they were going to have like schools where the kids can come out and learn about gardening and grow, and basically, bring home some dinner after school. I mean, how amazing is that? It's
That,
just,
that's all. That's
isn't it
awesome.
awesome?
I think of 2 things. First of all, I remember years ago I got involved in one of the first environmental neighborhoods in the country. It was one
Mm-hmm.
called Prairie Crossing in Rolling Meadows,
Yeah.
Illinois.
Yeah.
And I remember customers of mine building in Prairie Crossing and calling me up and saying, well, we want to use non-toxic, all natural wool carpet or natural linoleum. But because of the agreements that the developer had with all the suppliers, we can't. They wouldn't allow it. They said, we've got to put in their junk. And so again, this is what a difference between back then and it is now. Back then, it was
Yeah.
all about the old guard of development, which is like track homes. You're going to build 100 homes that look exactly like this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets the same stuff. We got, and you have your choice of 3 different colors of carpet, and two different colors of faucets and what have you. But they would have to move into the house before they move, or take possession of the home before they move in, rip out all the carpet and all the vinyl to put in our healthy stuff, which
Mhm.
is the most unsustainable, non-green
Right.
thing you can do.
Right.
But that's what they would have to do in order to live with healthier materials. And now fast forward to today, which is it's basically carte blanche. We
Mhm.
will build it the way you need it built. So I find that really encouraging. The second thing is I remember a project in Milwaukee probably about 20 years ago. We supplied all the interiors for um, a general practitioner, and he built out a small clinic. And I remember just a few months after that clinic was open, we would put business cards out there, and customers would start calling us because they're at the clinic. And they said, "My gosh, I would go to this clinic and I felt like I didn't have anything to complain about with the doctor because I just walked into the place and felt better."
Mhm.
And so it's amazing how if you get rid of all the noise, I have a client that wrote an article for um, Men's Health magazine talking about how he wants to live in a quiet house. And what he meant by a quiet house was free of all the noise of pollution, whether it's
Mhm.
electrical pollution, toxins, mold, but free of all that noise that damages the mind and the body. And so this doctor did that, and his patients just felt better going there, and it made treating them far, far better.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's kind of the first step is how you're feeling. Your body lets you know if you're kind of having in a toxic environment. This just reminds me of this agent I talked to from Palm Springs. She said she and her husband, who was a physician, bought a house in LA area, but in LA somewhere. And it was a new, completely renovated house. They moved in, and shortly thereafter, she started getting allergy symptoms. She was kind of sick all the time. So her husband tested her. I think like, a year and a half went by. She just knew there was something wrong. She couldn't figure it out. She kept getting like mold testers that would come test the air samples, and
Mhm.
there was nothing, right? So, but she just knew there was something. And the sad thing is, I think her and her husband got a divorce over it because everybody thought she was
Mhm.
crazy, but she knew she wasn't crazy. And after I think 3 years, and she spent like 20 grand on all these tests, she
Mm.
finally found out that the builder who built the home used an old foundation and then built, up on it. So, and he had somehow visqueened the foundation or put something to cover the foundation, and it was locking in moisture, and the radiator from the fridge or something was somehow near it, and it was blowing in mold, but they couldn't,
Oh,
they didn't know where it was coming from. And so she now is so sensitive to it that she's like a mold expert, and she can smell the mold and tell you what kind of mold it is when she goes
mhm,
into a place.
mhm,
But once she identified that, and then she was able to heal from that, now, she just wants to help people that are in her situation. And, some of the agents will be like, you're kind of causing me problems though, because I want this smooth closing. And you're bringing up this mold issue that's like the M word. Nobody wants to know about it. But it's like, there are remediation companies. It's not that you can't fix a mold situation. It's just that wouldn't you rather learn about it before you buy the house, or learn how you can take care of it and be confident that you're living in a mold-free home?
mhm.
Don't look at it like a dirty word. Look at it like as an opportunity to fix something so that your family stays safe.
Well, what I'll say to that is, I think just about every home has mold in it, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's at a low level like it is outside or at an
Mm-hmm.
elevated level. I think if we did enough research into homes, we'd probably find a mold problem in everybody's house somewhere. So the fact that it was caught or it was sensed prior to closing, I think that actually is a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to take care of it beforehand. I know you have some time constraints, so I don't want to keep
Yeah.
you too long. Um, Folks, I did ask in the chat if anybody has any questions, to let us know now, but Sheila and I are going to have another conversation coming up soon because we have so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
I want to I want to talk about again, your agents and the agents that you work with across the country. I want to talk more about how we as consumers can find an agent or encourage them to get in touch with you to learn more about this. So
Yeah.
and so I guess, yeah, in your 30-second elevator speech, what's the best way to get in touch with you and to work with you?
Well, if you are an agent or a healthy home professional or a contractor that wants to sell healthy home materials and let people know about that, I'm a marketing company, so I have marketing tools and this wellness lifestyle magazine that you can share with your audience. So you can go to healthyhomemedia.com and learn all about me. Um, I think that if you are, just a consumer, you can go to healthyhomemag.com, and the issues are like $5 if you want to read them occasionally. But I would encourage, if you are a consumer and you want to know a healthy home, a realtor who's a wellness focused agent, I do have a list of agents that are in my community um, in the back of the magazine. I also have an expert directory on my website. But if you already have a relationship with your realtor, encourage your realtor to come check me out and learn more, because I'm really trying to connect agents with healthy home experts like you so that they can have an expanded network so that they can help more people. So yeah.
Excellent. And I can first of all say it's a beautiful magazine, very well put
Thank you.
together.
Thank you.
I am honored to be a contributor to the
Mm-hmm.
magazine, and it's I'm not a writer, folks. I'm a building material supplier and a podcaster. I don't even speak very well, but I speak better than I write. But sometimes I write like I'm writing to my best friend, like, "Hey, look at this stuff," and it comes across as being very easy to understand. So
Yeah. Yeah.
hopefully you'll enjoy it. But definitely pick up um, an issue or several issues of the magazine because it really is wonderful, wonderful reading.
Yeah, and
And
for your audience, Andy, I'll send you the link so they can all read it free this month. And you're featured in it, so make
hey,
sure they do that. Yeah, and
nice.
if anyone wants to check out my podcast, I have two. I have a consumer one that's called Blooming a Healthy Home by Design, if anybody wants to check that out. And then I also have one called the Wellness Real Estate Podcast, and that's for real estate agents and trade professionals.
Awesome. And then a couple of folks chatted. Thank you so much for coming and teaching us all about this. Really appreciate it. Sheila, will definitely have you back on the show soon because again, this is a topic that I could go on and on forever on. So, and I think it's really interesting for people too, especially nowadays when real estate right now is just in, I don't want to say it's in turmoil by any
Mhm.
means, but it's certainly on everybody's mind.
Yeah.
Where it's going, where, what do we do? And I think to have somebody who's looking at it from a completely different perspective, it's not just about dollars and cents. It's about, this is our home. This is where we live. And it doesn't really, the dollars and cents don't matter as much as how you feel and how it's affecting your health. And it's just so greatly important to have this.
Yeah, and I'll leave you with, I just think the time has come now for a different kind of agent. You know what I mean? That someone who
Mhm.
is more of your home guide, your home resource person that can connect you with all of these people. And isn't that the person you want? I feel like, you know, an agent, if they're all saying the same thing, that you don't know who to hire, and if they're just helping you with the transaction, I know it can be overwhelming. And I do feel like there's a lot of consumers, with Zillow and Realtor, you get all the information. Years ago, you had to call the Realtor to find out what the sales per square feet were and all that stuff. They
Mhm.
were privy to special information, but now
Right.
we all have the information. So if you were to go find an agent and you know more about the area than your agent does, that doesn't leave you very confident in wanting
Right.
to hire them, right? But yet at the
Exactly.
same, from an agent's perspective, it's hard. You can be an expert on a local community, but maybe not on the entire zip code, because that's a lot of homes, right? Or several zip codes. So you might have really extensive knowledge, but still there could be an instance where the consumer comes and they know a little bit more than you about the house down the street. So how can you provide more value? And I really think that healthy homes are the way you can you can provide more value. So thank you so
You're
much.
exactly right. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. And folks, we'll be back next week with another episode of Non-Toxic Environments Live. This show will be up on podcast probably by early next week. But the video will be replayed as soon as it's done downloading to the Circle community. And once again, the only way you'll see these shows live and be able to participate live is if you're a member of the Non-Toxic Environments Circle community, which is free to join. It's amazing, free to join to listen to these wonderful experts teach us all these wonderful things about green living and green building. And again, no cost to you. So thank you all for joining, and we will see you all in 1 week. Take care.
Okay, bye.